Live with Miami's Community News, and our guest today, Bob Buzzelli from Palmetto Bay, the beautiful village of Palmetto Bay, and we have Zac Carrigan from Homestead. We're here to talk about marinas and fishing and boats. So you have an organization together, United Boaters of Dade.com. What is the purpose of that, and how did this challenge come up as far as what you stand for? So we're going to start over here with Zac.
Okay. It all started, I actually wanted to take my family out on the boat. This was a couple months ago. And we get everything ready, hook the boat up. We go out, fill up the coolers. We're there. And we pull up. I see a line. Ramp's full. I'm like, this can't be right. It's not even summer yet. It's a couple months from summer. So, you know, I turn around. This was at Homestead Bayfront Park. I turn around, drive home. You know, I'm upset. You know, just spent a couple hours getting ready to go.
And a line, what does that mean, a line? Like
we're all lined up on the side of the road. And
boats and trailers.
Yeah, boats and trailers.
How many vehicles?
There was probably, I saw 3 or 4 sitting there. But then on the other road, I saw, I'm not sure the road, but there was many other boats. I guess they just wait and then they let people in as it opens up.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I get home and I see on another social media group that I'm on for boating in the community, someone else had the issue and shared it, and I'm like, I've had enough, you know, and I think we need to spread awareness of this. And
okay, so we have Bob over here, former fireman for a couple decades. Thank you very much for running into the challenge rather than out, as Zac and I would normally do. So tell us about your issue with was as far as boating. And
I've had a similar experience down at Black Point. A friend of mine and I got up one Sunday morning, got there at 6:45. There's a mile and a half of boats in front of us, and we looked at each other like, what? When we turned around and went home. But, you know, we got our fishing poles, we got our sunscreen, we got our life jackets and hats. We're ready to go. And you get down there, and like you said, your family, and you get disappointed. But let me, if I could take a minute, let's talk about how our park system came to be in the first place.
Okay.
And that goes back to the 1930s with, I believe there was a commissioner named Charles Crandon. I think you probably know there's a park named after him. And he had a vision that, I guess he'd seen some stuff in Europe and said, why don't we have that? And the Matheson family had a lot of land. So he talked to them. Matheson Hammock, that came out of it. I think there's 630 acres that they donated. The Civil Conservation Corps helped build it. At the same time, then they had another commissioner that helped down in Homestead get Homestead Bayfront Park, which they called Herbert Hoover Park, I believe, at the time. And a family down there, South Dade Farms, James Santilli, I think, he donated like 1,200 acres. That's how we got Homestead. And then Charles Crandon got Matheson, they talked, and he donated like 880 acres on Key Biscayne for a park with the condition that they built a causeway to Key Biscayne where they had a large coconut and probably pineapple plantation. The agreement was to do that. Well, that was 1940, and World War II came along, and it was 1947 before the causeway got opened, and that's how we got those parks that we have today, and the marinas eventually came with them. So that's a little history there. The last time anything was put on the drawing boards was for Black Point, was some 40 years ago. No improvements have been made to our marinas. We haven't had increased parking. We haven't even built a new marina. Hadn't done nothing but repair them after hurricanes. So we've reached this point, and then the pandemic came along. And then when the marinas were no longer 24-hour marinas, they were like 6 to 8 or something. And then that's when we'd had some problems prior to that with really good weekends and holidays when they had some closed, when they had overflow. But back then they would let you park on the grass at Matheson and Black Point and such. And then they stopped that. So we had a problem. And then out of this pandemic grew this movement of there was a gentleman called Bruce Marks. He's a maritime attorney. He had a thing called Bug Light. He wanted to do, they were taking Bug Light down, so he put a Bug Light project. So the people sprung up off of his with open to things, and I started following that, and then this came about, and it's just social media opened up to the people, and that's where we're at today.
Well, along that same line, I was over on Key Biscayne 2 months ago. I was going to the end, and there was a line, no exaggeration, at least 60 vehicles, at least, plus the boats that were on top of the vehicles. We went to lunch at a hotel. On the way back, there was still a line of about 20. It seems to me that boating is pretty popular down here and may have even actually increased during the last 15 months, because that certainly was a point, well, you can go boating and you would be safe from the pandemic. So what's the purpose, Zac, of the United Boaters of Dade? What do you want to accomplish?
Just actually, when I first started it, it was to just spread awareness of this issue. It came about after speaking with a few people that's reached out to me that a lot of our elected officials aren't boaters, and they didn't know about our issues within the boating community, and they didn't even know this was happening. So that was my initial plan when I started this, was to raise awareness and get the word out and say, hey, we're a big community. We're Miami. This is a world-renowned boating community. You ask anyone around the world what Miami is, and it's boating, fishing, and diving. I mean, everything.
Obviously, it's huge, and for us that live in the South, and we think just south, but when you go on Biscayne Boulevard, these big boating communities that are up there with the really big fellows. Well, let's talk about, are each of these areas, are those are considered Dade County parks? Are
Yes.
they? All right. So, and as far as the government, the people that fund that, I mean, obviously the taxpayers do, but people that direct the money, have you been able to talk yet to the people in government, including the folks that head up the Parks Department, about, hey, we need some more help down here at Black Point or wherever that happens to be? Bob?
I've spoken to Commissioner Higgins. I met her before she became a commissioner, and then after she became, I called her and said, hey, listen, there's a problem. She says, well, I'm not a boater. Please educate me. So I did, and she said, I want to help, and we need to do this now, not 5 or 10 years from now. So she's very much on board on. Now there's 4 commissioners that were involved in this, because Homestead, Black Point, Matheson, and Crandon all have different commissioners. So we've got that. Now let's understand that boaters pay their way. We pay a tremendous amount of money. This last weekend, holiday weekend, I just did some rough numbers. And just for Black Point alone, they probably took in excess of $10,000 in boater fees, guys launching their boats for the ones that got out. That, and then you multiply that times 4 marinas. Actually, there's 6 marinas, I believe they have in the county, but these are the biggest ones. Yeah. That's a tremendous amount of money that's coming into the county coffers.
Yes. So Basin Hammock, that's owned by the county.
Yes.
They have docks there that cost a lot of money to rent for your boat. All right. And then the Haulover is not Haulover. What's the one up north? Is that in Dade County?
Gilbert, I think.
So we have, what are some of the other launching points for people on the south end for boats?
You have Homestead Bayfront, Black Point Marina. That's really the only 2 down by me in South Dade County. And usually what happens is people work their way at the Miami City boat ramps first. Once they get full, they head down to Black Point. Then once that's full, but you see the sequential order of the text that you receive.
So the night before, you're all psyched up. We're going to go out tomorrow.
Yeah.
We got all this stuff. We're going to go and we're going to stock up
your
the boat
kids,
with
hey,
all.
We're going out on the boat, and it's disappointment. It's my daughter. My kids were heartbroken. My daughter was.
So Bob, let's suppose that the powers that be, whoever they are, sitting right here, and they say, all right, Bob, Zac, what do you want us to look at? All right. So what would it be, Bob?
First thing we can do, grab the low-hanging fruit, increase parking. Black Point, I've been told right now, they're looking at, the county's going to work with a solid waste department that owns some land next to Mount Trashmore right outside the front gate for Black Point. A couple of acres that they could turn into overflow parking, which would almost double the parking capacity at Black Point.
So the parking, you're talking about parking waited to get in, or parking where to put your...
Where you put your trailer after you've launched your boat.
Yeah, because that's a big issue. You're sitting on the side of the road, you put it into the water, and then you have to put this very long vehicle. Oh, by the way, Howard, do we have any pictures that we can put up? So, and you're right, a couple of acres would take care of a lot of vehicles.
Oh, it would be tremendous.
And what about the space to launch your boat? Is that adequate?
They could have more ramps, but you know, if I had to wait 20 or 30 minutes to launch my boat, as long as I knew I was going to get in the water, I could live with that. But when you pull up there and you see the mile and a half of truck cars and boats in front of you, and you know you're not getting out that day, that's disappointment for your family, for yourself, and you know. So
I don't boat very much, but I can tell you, I would be pretty upset if I was like the day before I got myself in the right place, and you go and you drive, let's say 20 to 30 minutes to go to the place, and you look at it. And is getting there earlier, does that matter? Because everybody's has the same challenge. So when do they start getting in line down there, Bob?
I've read on Facebook, some guys show up at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's
even during the pandemic, people were getting in line the night before, sleeping on their boat to get out.
Where are you from, Zach?
Originally?
Yeah, that accent.
I'm from Connecticut.
Okay, all right. So typically, what's the maximum size boat that's really going to be on a trailer and used at some of these parks to launch?
Up to, I mean, I've seen up, you know, average size is, you know, 19 to 24 feet. There's 26, 28 foot. I've even seen 32 footers out there. That's about average.
Okay. So you're saying Black Point, the parking, right? That would be an immediate thing. The county owns the land, right?
Yeah.
They could actually revert it back to something else if there was a problem, right?
Correct.
And they have to do all the stuff you need to do to prepare the land.
I understand that Solid Waste says, you know, there's nothing we can do with this land. It's just sitting there vacant. It was the old Pirates Cove Marina that was there years ago.
Oh, sure. I remember that name. We were just kids then.
Yeah, well, we were. Black Point at that time was just a little turning base, and there was no dirt ramp. I mean, if you went there. So
Black Point's reputation has been improving over all these years, and I'm not quite sure why that happened, or whether it's because the community started growing, people they live near there, they want a boat. All right, but can you statistically say that there are people in the Palmetto Bay, Cutler Ridge, Cutler Bay, Homestead area, there's more boats there per household than in other parts of the county?
You're saying there's more boats now than there was then?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I just looked at the statistics from 2019 to 2020 on the Florida Department of Transportation, their website, and 68,000 approximately boats were registered in 2019. Over 70,000 registered in 2020.
And where is that?
Miami-Dade County.
Wow.
Just in this county alone. And this isn't even taken into account from when we haven't had any infrastructure.
So that's, and let's just say it's 4 people per household, 3 people. That's a lot of folks that are enjoying the
resources.
Yeah, right. So let's say, what other marinas that are down there do you think need some sort of attention from the county, Bob?
Well, you only have the 2. Homestead and Black Point. Those are the only 2 marinas in the South Dade. Now, you mentioned about having boats. Now, there's been a lot of building in the north end of the county, but a lot of that I think has been apartments, whereas in the south end it's been single family homes more, except along the busway where they've done some higher buildings. So when you have the single family home, then you have the guy with his boat next to his house. So that's why we have so much pressure in the south for more access to the marinas.
Okay, so when was the last improvements at Black Point of capacity, not making it prettier, but
when
of capacity?
It was built 37 or 38 years ago. That was last.
And Homestead last time?
I believe it hasn't expanded since the original construction. I don't think they've added any new capacity. So obviously there's new people, new boats, all right, and new families that are moving there, and so the demand seems to be there. Now, is there manpower that's there available at each of these? Is the issue about waiting to park to launch your boat because of people, or because of the capacity of the launch spot?
When during this pandemic, the county hired some people to help. They would only let like 2 boats in at a time to launch, which was a forever thing. Keeping everybody apart. We're out there, you got a wind blowing and, what have you. You could have had 4 boats, 6 boats. It wouldn't have mattered. Everybody's wearing masks anyway. But when you had these people, and you need to understand that when you come up to launch your boat needs to be ready to launch. That's not the time you put the plug in. That's not the time mama starts putting towels in and the cooler in and the food. You have that boat and your straps coming off. You do that pre-staging. So when you pull up there, you get ready. Everybody gets out, you launch your boat, the ropes, and you're ready to go. And that's one of the things that was being done with these people. We're having people stage your boat before you got there.
Well, you bring up a really good point. The number one complaint that people used to have at McDonald's was not the food, all right? Not the sodas, not the parking. It was the person in front of them was not ready to pay, all right?
Yeah.
The same thing. It's like, that's it, man. You're going, man. You want to get that boat. You want to get that boat or get that McDonald's in and out as quickly as possible. So for the uninitiated, if you're in line and then you're up next, all right?
Yeah.
You turn around your boat and you back it in. How long does it take from the time you're so okay? Come on in until the vehicle is out of the way and off.
I give it 5 to 10 minutes tops. But like last year during the COVID era, they were telling people prep your boat here right when you pull in to most of these places.
And why was it that way instead of, hey, listen, next time you come back, be ready?
For the COVID, they don't want the congregations of people, and they wanted to speed it up because they were having only 1 boat per lane, and they wanted everyone to have their ropes tied up, which you didn't really know which side you were gonna launch from. So that was last minute, but they don't want people there to put in their plugs, move everything from the cars, take the coolers out of the truck.
So Bob, I want to know, now that you're a social media watcher, have you seen the people, some of those guys are backing up the boats and the whole truck or the car goes right into the water? Zach, has that happened to you?
No.
Oh, come on.
I
pretend your wife's not going to see this and tell us.
That's another point. Black Point at low tide, I was down there the other day and I had to back down it, and I had to walk in the water to get to my winch. And I almost went down. That ramp was slippery. Now, years ago, I asked them if they would please pressure wash the ramps. I went down there one day to pressure wash in high tide. I said, no, guys, you got to do this at low tide. That's where the slime is. So the other day, a guy did back his boat in and trailer and launched everything. But that's the thing. If you could slip down and break an arm real easy, not to mention having the vehicle go in the water. But once at low tide, you could run in there with these pressure washers and these discs, and you could clean that place up in no time at all. Once or twice a month, and it's makes things life.
So tell us about Zach. What brought you down here to Homestead? All right, are you in the city of Homestead or just down south?
I'm in the Redlands. I'm in the farmland of Homestead.
Do you farm down there?
No, I don't farm. I've moved around. I was in the military.
He sort of looks like a farmer, doesn't he?
I do.
Yeah. People accuse you of that all the time.
And I moved down there just because I grew up with, plenty of room, places to roam, ride ATVs, and it was just fitting for me. And, I moved around a lot, and my job brought me down here. And my wife's from the area, and, she didn't really like the winters up there. She said they lasted forever.
And Bob, you've been in Palmetto Bay how many years now? Ooh, so many.
30 some or longer.
Yeah. So we own a farm down in Homestead. It is, 400 yards or less from the levee. So we want something that is so far out that nobody wants to see each other, all right, or talk to each other. So I understand about being in bigger places. So, Bob, you've been active in Palmetto Bay for quite a while, and we'll take this opportunity if we could. Let's talk a little bit about what it looks like for the future of Palmetto Bay.
Yes.
All right. Let's spend a couple of minutes, and we're going to get on to Zach in just a few minutes.
Palmetto Bay, we need a reset. We need a clean house, new politicians, new attitude, new agendas, a new vision. We need to see what's going on in Cutler Bay and Pinecrest and see if we can't mimic them and figure out what our problem is and make a correction on it there.
You bring up a really good point. It's a reset, it's a pause. And if you think about all the sports activities, okay, point's over, stop. Start again. You got the 2-minute warning. You got, commercials. You got, and in boxing, okay, you got 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Okay, pause for a moment, and it lets people get their heads back on. But unfortunately, in politics, it's a blood sport for at least 2 years in a row, and sometimes for 4. And so maybe somebody could bring up, what do we have to do, Palmetto Bay? Just everybody stop, take a deep breath, all right? We're in this soon-to-be post-pandemic world. And by the way, for a year and a half, we had a divider down the middle, and our protocol, and I think you were here, was pretty high. We were fortunate nobody here got COVID, so we count our blessings with that. And certainly the pandemic taught us how we can do those things. So we could just put it on hold, all right, and just say, let's settle in and make things better. So there's a big piece of property down in Palmetto Bay, and it's on the water, all right? Yeah. And it's going to be developed of some sort. Something's going to happen, all right? That's the old Lexicon property, all right? Or maybe that's a new name. And it's on the bay. And I've seen looks for a private marina, it sounded like, at some point. It sent some drawings on that.
When FPNL had it, they had a private marina for FPNL employees. They have another one down at Turkey Point also for their employees to use. The ramp is still there. I heard that, there was a lot of money for the property, whether we could have gotten grants and bought the property and used it as a marina. But it couldn't have been a Palmetto Bay marina, because anytime you get grant money, it's open to everybody. Mm-hmm. It would have been a great location for a marina, centrally located. You already had a deep water canal there, plenty of parking. The land could have been used as a park also. There was some contaminated, but my understanding is that contaminated land was cleaned up and that dirt was dug out and shipped to other.
Maybe Miami-Dade County wants to buy the land.
Hey, that would be great.
Hello, Miami-Dade County.
That would be a good location. There's 2 other spots that are looking at down south, Moody Canal and Princeton Canal. These are locations, they're possibilities that canals already exist. And I was doing some research on this, and those canals, I wondered when they were dug. They were dug back 30s, 20s. They've been there for years. It would be easy to fix up a lot of these things, but it takes money.
Well, as a matter of fact, next week, some folks from the Parks Department, Miami-Dade County, going to be here. They're a long-time, passionate, friendly folks from the Parks Department. We'll talk about Miami-Dade County buying the Lexicon property. All right. So, so Zach, how'd you get into boating?
Well, I always enjoyed the water. I actually joined the Navy and loved going out to sea. And then I ended up getting transferred down to Key West. And I actually worked on a commercial boat for a little bit, doing some yellowtail fishing. And then I just realized I love fishing for mahi, snapper, reef fishing, everything. And I just kept at it. And, my wife enjoys it. And, it's great for the kids.
Okay, Bob, I want to know when you're going to go back fishing. And what do you catch with this guy right here?
Actually, this is my granddaughter's fishing rod.
Okay, you hear that, sweetie?
She let me use it today as a prop, bring it here. But yeah, I'm ready to go right now. I'm ready. As soon as the winds lay down a little bit.
And one of the great things that the pandemic has taught us is to appreciate life, understand that lots of things can happen, and some people unfortunately didn't make it, and my heart goes out to their families. And this really gives a good time for us to look to do the things that we want. And that's why so many dogs and cats have been adopted. That's why there's so many more pools being built than ever before, 20% increase. Home improvement business is way up. We have the bird business. People are buying birds because they understand they want to have comfort around them. And certainly going boating is comforting, it's exciting, it can be stressful and relaxing at the same moment. And those fish are pretty smart.
Oh, yeah.
They are very smart. They go, what happened to my buddy? Oh, he went up. I'm not taking that bait anymore. So what type of fishing do you like to do, Bob?
I've been doing some yellowtailing too down here, some grouper fishing, snapper fishing, but I'd like to spend some time in Everglades National Park back in there. That's very quiet, very peaceful. Snook and redfish and some tarpon. trout.
Do you give fishing lessons?
I'm better at fishing than I am at catching.
There are a couple things I'd like to talk about.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. Yeah, just a minute. One thing is there's actually a water recreation plan, or it's a water recreation access plan is the name of it. And I've actually talked with someone in the Miami-Dade Parks Department, and it's going to be coming out within a couple months, 2 to 3 months, and it's going to affect everyone that enjoys water recreation or anything to do with the water: kayakers, rowers, sailing, jet skiers, boaters, fishermen, everything. And we're going to really need the community support to push this through and to get it to go through so everyone in Miami-Dade County can enjoy the water. And also there's a Miami Marine Basin project. And it's actually, there's a boat ramp just outside of the Marine Stadium, the Miami Marine Stadium on Virginia Key. And it's been there. It's been closed for almost 20 years. No one to the public has used it. I think they used it for police boats every now and then in mission search and rescue. And there's actually a plan to turn that into a public boat ramp for the city of Miami for anyone to use. It's approved, permitted, planned, and funded. It's just in the last phase of community outreach and getting the final words from the community. And it's about 70 to 80, maybe 90 spots for boats, but it'll take a lot of pressure off of the other Miami City, the city of Miami boat ramps and Black Point and Homestead, because it's all a chain. People start up in Miami City or the city of Miami, and then they work their way down to Black Point and then Bayfront. So 80 boats may not sound like a lot, but it really is.
So from what I've gathered, is the boat population has increased dramatically over these last 15, 20 years, right? Yet the capacity for launching and for parking vehicles has not kept up.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right. So make your plea to the government. Hey, what do we need? What do we need to do? And I think the local commissioners, when you talk to them, I hope you give them these figures, because remember, they have to go get their other folks to agree with it. This is what's happening with the boat population. This is how many boats there are according to our records. How many people there are, but yet it's not enough. All right. So Grant and I wish you guys a lot of good luck with that. All right. And we had Commissioner Higgins here a few weeks ago, and the next time she's on, maybe we can talk about some boats and how to improve that quality of life. And we know when former Mayor Jimenez was in charge, he said, go out on your boats and enjoy that. One last thing before we wrap up, we all, or most of us, saw the pictures of Biscayne Bay before COVID and then during COVID, and the difference was night and day. One was sort of murky, and the other was crystal clear. So I hope all the boaters out there and the people on the beach keep our bay clean. I want to congratulate the county on hiring Umbrella Bagay, who's the first bay officer woman. All right, and my hats go off to her and to the mayor for appointing her, because she really cares a lot. And I think that it's our responsibility, when we look at the bay, look at this shoreline, to make sure that we leave it better than when we got there.
Yeah, that's actually one thing I'm going to work on with this United Boaters of Dade is an outreach to the community to pick up after yourself, change the community image of boaters in general. Don't leave your trash around. If you bring it out, bring it in, pack it away, and just follow me. And
okay. And inquiring minds want to know. This is mosquito season coming up. All right. We're sort of in it now. All right. And we've had Dr. Petrie who's in charge there. And we have Frank, a whole bunch of folks. And I've learned a little bit more about mosquitoes. But tell me about the bug situation when you're launching your boat and when you're out. What is it like? Is it non-existent? You have to deal with it? How's that work, Bob?
I haven't noticed them at Black Point. I will tell you my experience at Flamingo. I've been down there where you had to pull a T-shirt over your face to keep from sucking them in and breathing them, and I've been down there where you didn't even need mosquito repellent. So it goes in ebbs and flows. But yeah.
So as the mosquito control department says, Miami-Dade County, drain and cover yourself. Right. So I want to thank Zac Carrigan for coming out, Bob Buzzelli, and keep working it. Talk to the people, tell them what you like to see done, and then give them enough information so they can move that forward.
Thank
All
you
right.
for your time.
Well, our pleasure. And Howard, thanks so much. And again, folks, thank you very much. And again, this is Live with Miami's Community News. Folks, have a great day. See you.